What's up everybody? This is Derek Collado from Sit Stay Sober, and in this video we're going to go over some things to consider and things you should probably want to know before owning or purchasing a French Bulldog. I have two Frenchies myself and I absolutely love them, but definitely much different from when I owned my Pit Bulls. Going from Pit Bulls to Frenchies is a bit of a difference. It's some stuff you'll hear in this video that you probably want to know or have heard, and we're just here to kind of highlight some of them, and that way when you do go out and purchase one, you kind of have a nice idea of what to expect. So first thing is, French Bulldogs have a lot of health issues, or they're prone to a lot of health issues. So when looking to purchase one, make sure you're going through a reputable breeder, and one where you can meet the parents and potentially talk to some other people who have bought Frenchies from that breeder. I definitely wouldn't go to like, oh, my buddy has some Frenchies, they have some puppies, like, do you want one? They're super cheap, you know. I would definitely save the money, talk to a reputable breeder, or find a reputable breeder, and go that path. Some of the health issues that Frenchies are more prone to, and things that you should, be aware of, is one is their breathing. They tend to have more like narrow nostrils, and obviously they have very punched in faces. When you're looking at Frenchies, look at their parents and try to find ones with a snout that's a little bit more protruded and not so pushed into their skull. This just, it's cute to see, but when it's too much, it's really a big problem for the Frenchie, and it's something that can really limit what you can do with your dog. So whether you live in a hot area or you're someone who likes to go on hikes and be active, Frenchies maybe not the best breed if you're like super active and you want a companion, but especially not the breed for you if the puppy themselves or the Frenchie themselves has such a pushed in nose, or their nostrils are very thin. They have a hard time breathing, so exercising them vigorously can be a huge problem. The other thing with Frenchies is they're more prone to a condition called IVDD, and this is basically their spine, the discs in their spine. Basically, there's like a malformation, and it just pushes against the spinal cord. Basically, think of like a bulging disc, like in humans, but in your Frenchie. And this is something that can really alter your relationship and your lifestyle with your dog. It's one of those conditions where you hear about it and you're like, yeah, but man, when you like look up like dogs who suffer IVDD, or you talk to a neurologist, like a veterinarian neurologist, basically half their practice is filled with French Bulldogs. Speaking from my experience, my male Frenchie named Boogie, he suffers from IVDD, and he's got two discs. He's got two discs that are a problem. One that's in his neck, and then one that's in his lower back. The one that's in his neck is one that could potentially be fatal. The one that's in his lower back can, really be a pain in the ass for him and for us as the owners, just because he can't control his bladder or his poop. He can't hold it in like he used to, and he can't really use his back legs too well. Still adorable. We've managed his pain. He's living his best life, but we have to completely change his lifestyle and have to moderate his entire existence. So you basically go from having a very active, wiggly dog to a dog that you have to keep in a pen and make sure that he's not jumping, running, twisting, and basically moving his spine too much, which for a dog, it's just tough, right? And for my dog, he started showing signs, and those disc problems occurred when he was about 1.5 years old. He's about to turn 4. So basically from 1.5 years old to now, we've had to completely, all hands on deck, pay attention to how he's living, how he's playing, how he's interacting. Yeah, just something to think about. The other thing too, as far as the health goes with Frenchies, is they're also very prone to allergies, whether that be stomach problems or skin problems. They're just more known, it's very common amongst Frenchies that they have some sort of allergy, right? So my female Frenchie is one that has allergies. So she's one that we have to kind of keep an eye on what she's eating and what she's getting into, because if not, she either becomes super itchy or she gets a very upset stomach. Not that these health issues wouldn't happen with other breeds, and they do, but it's very common with Frenchies, and we'll kind of talk about all of this in a later point, how this can affect, or kind of what to expect from having a Frenchie. The second thing is hygiene. People think Frenchies, small dog, short hair, there should be minimal grooming. Unfortunately with these guys, they do require a decent amount of upkeep as far as grooming goes. You have to worry about their wrinkles, and they're basically their tears that are, fall into the wrinkles, and those wrinkles can just get full of gunk, full of dirt, can agitate their face. So wrinkle wipes, and at least once a week, if not every other day, wiping wrinkles and making sure that they're good. Sometimes you can get away with some Frenchies with a little bit more protruded snout. There's not as bad. But the ones with the super punched in face with a lot of wrinkles, especially by the nose and the eyes, you're gonna have to be wiping a little bit more. The other thing with Frenchies, and part of the things that make them so cute, is the wrinkles, but also their ears. Their ears are up, straight up, and they're exposed. They're open, so more likelihood for dirt, grime, all types of stuff to get in there. So you're gonna be wiping their ears, cleaning their ears, checking their ears, a lot more frequent than, maybe a dog. Think of the opposite of a Frenchie, like a Basset Hound. Not that you wouldn't clean your Basset Hound's ears, but you don't really have to worry too much about things getting in their ear canal. Maybe you have to clean the bottoms of their ears because they're rubbing on the ground, but not like a Frenchie. You're not worrying about what's going in there. Just like for an example, my female Frenchie, Sugar, she likes to rip apart toys, and one time I literally found a cotton ball worth of stuffing from a stuffed animal in her ear, so it's just one of those things where if you're not used to constantly checking their ear, it's just something that you have to get used to, and it's not make or break, it's just something to be aware of, right? And this is a little bit gross, but the best way I know I can explain it is basically French Bulldogs have some freaking butt cheeks, right? And they have thick thighs, and normally a dog's ass is flat, but a Frenchie's kind of, lack of better terms, they have a cake in the back, right? They got some cake, they're thick. So when they poop, sometimes that last little dingleberry or last little bit can just straight up get stuck, and you might have to shake their butt, So your dog will poop, he'll run inside, and then you look at the ground and you have a little Hershey kiss on the floor, and it's because their butt just holds on to poop. It just doesn't let it fall straight off the back, right? So third thing is, and it's something that you hear about, but it is actually very true, and it's crazy that it's true. French Bulldogs are the most stolen and sought after breeds by basically people who are willing to steal dogs, right? So there's a high resale value. There's a lot of dogs who are, social media famous. So then they get stolen. If you just type in dog gets stolen on YouTube, it'll be the whole freaking first pages. They're basically going to be 80% French Bulldogs and then 20% other breeds. So it's something that if you're not used to, you're going to, because A, you love your baby, they're your little bud, they're your little like living teddy bear that you love so much. So before, when I owned pit bulls, I could go into the gas station, have my pit bulls in the car, and there was basically a car alarm system or like a anti-theft system. No one wanted to approach my car, right? They were sweet boys, but if looking at them, they look like gargoyles. Like, I ain't going in there. I'm not gonna get mauled by those two things. So, whereas a Frenchie, I would never go to a gas station and leave my Frenchie in the front seat or the back seat to go grab something or to pay for gas. That's not happening. So, it's definitely a little bit of a change in maybe your approach or how you would typically live with maybe a different dog. So, with that being said, that they are so highly sought after, or they're the most common dogs to be stolen, you're gonna want to change your approach, like being more vigilant, but then also like getting collars that can track where they are. So like whether that be like on the low end, like an Apple AirTag, or on the higher end, like a true GPS collar. And then also getting them microchipped, so that way you can at least try to find their location. Not always going to work. Your best bet is probably a microchip. The other thing would be, you're going to want to make sure your yard is very secured. Like if you have a 3-foot fence, or like a 4-foot fence, or like a chain link fence that someone could easily hop over, you have to be out there with your dog. You're gonna want to be. So having a nice fenced-in yard when you walk, it's better to walk with somebody, or walk in very well lit areas. And even then, these things aren't necessarily gonna stop him from being stolen, but it saves you. It gives you a better chance. And then having cameras, on where your dogs live, like where they're like the common areas, so whether it be like the living room or backyard, front door. So that way, again, hopefully between your cameras, having them secured, having them microchipped, or having the GPS collar, that you can get your dog back, or at least have some sort of, things to give to an investigator, or when you do your own investigating, how to get your dog back, right? So again, I went from pit bulls to Frenchies. This was something I didn't even think about. Now having 2 little Frenchies, it's something that you're like, damn it. It's like if I go to get gas, I really am like, all right, do I need to get gas right now, or can I just bring them home? Look, I have enough gas. I'll just take them home. Whereas with my pit bulls, I'm like, I'm gonna get gas. I'm gonna get myself an energy drink, and then I'll come back to the car. So then the fourth, and kind of wrap all of this up, because kind of all ties in together, is owning a French Bulldog is very expensive. Okay, so whether it be the health, the hygiene, or the security to make sure that they're safe, it all adds up. Okay, so I had mentioned earlier about my dog Boogie having IVDD, and this doesn't include surgery. Okay, we spent probably about $17,000 on MRIs, seeing specialists, pain medication, rehab, wheelchair, setting up an environment for him to make sure that he can't hurt himself, right? So then hygiene, wipes, ear cleaning, all the equipment that goes into that, and it's not like a one-time purchase, it's a reoccurring thing. Security cameras, collars, security camera systems, usually a monthly recurring bill. The cameras themselves, getting them installed, it adds up, and it adds up quickly, right? Again, these are things that I didn't even think of to do, or just so not on my radar when I owned pit bulls. When you own Frenchies, it's a little bit different, It's like you love these things and you want what's best for them, and they're just a high cost dog to maintain and to keep, happy and healthy. So if you're someone who's, already tight finances, getting a Frenchie is probably not the best move. if you have the income or you've already owned Frenchies, you know what to expect, then everything you've heard in this video is probably just par for the course. But if you are someone who's looking at Frenchies and you're thinking about getting one, I'll tell you this, they are the goofiest, awesomest, I can't freaking speak. They're just awesome dogs. They're fantastic. I love them so much. But it is a different relationship from like going from a pit bull to a Frenchie. Never once did I feel protected by my Frenchies. It's like my pit bulls, I could literally walk down a dark alley and feel comfortable because I have these two gargoyles with me who have got my back. Those Frenchies, I wouldn't even leave them in the car to go get gas, So it's like, I'm definitely not going down some dark alley. So it's just a different dynamic. So again, they're just some things to consider before getting a Frenchie. Hopefully you can take some of this information and just put it on the board for if you're considering getting one. Don't let these things scare you from getting a Frenchie, because again, like, I love my dogs and they're such characters. I love them so much. But it is something just to think about as you're looking for one. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.